What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video here at the Ideal Auto Factory. Today we're going to be going over the Sanwa Super Vortex ESC. Specifically, we're going to go over the Sanwa Super Vortex Gen 2 Pro ESC, their newest and latest efficient ESC on the market. I'm a Sanwa guy, so this is totally up my alley. I'm not going to bore you with all the little things. We're just going to go over the key details that pertain to drifting and also get straight to the point as to why I actually own a Sanwa remote and actual ESC. So let's keep God first, guys. I'm going to have a scripture at the end of this one too, so be ready for that one. It'll be a nice read. Let's get to the video. All right, so the Rhino Max has been sitting on the table for a while. It's a little dusty, as you can see, but we pulled it out. I pulled it out for you guys. It's already elevated. So I'm gonna do some work on it. We're gonna be showing you everything about this Sanwa ESC because it's already installed onto the Rhino Max. So let's get to it. There's my battery, the always on, with the lights. And there it is. There's the ESC, guys. So that ESC is in the rear. And you're looking at my not so secret setup for my Rhino Max. And there you can see on the side it says Super Vortex Gen 2. Right there. It comes with a regular sized fan. That sticker says OD, but it's not an overdose. It's supposed to say Sanwa. Then you have your program slot for the program card, or program box as they call it. And this is it. It's a powerful little tool that I highly recommend you get if you're going to have the Sanwa Super Vortex ESC. There's the set button. And then we have the LED, which lets you know you're either in full throttle or not. And I'm on the floor on the lower level of my house, and y'all let me know if y'all like this camera view. I like kind of like just talking to you guys like we're just chilling, staring at our toys. But let me know in the comments what you think about this camera angle, this up close and personal kind of view here. So one thing I'd like to point out, this is a program box. It also has a SD card slot. It's not that user-friendly when you don't read. Sanwa's manual is not that friendly if you don't read it. It's not some plug-and-play stuff. You have to have like this old-school SD card with like only 8 gigabytes to get the right stuff for the ESC. When they come from the factory, the boost and turbo is turned off. You can turn it on through the ESC, but boy, is it tough. The lights don't even like, they work, but they don't work. And it took me a while to figure it out. And most of the time I'm doing it in a rush, so that's why it takes forever. But nonetheless, you don't need the program box, but I highly recommend it. $30 when you already spent the money on the ESC. Yeah, just get the program box. And then from there you can update the ESC. You can actually make this ESC a drift one, but there's no point in doing that. You just make it a Gen 2 Pro. It's not, drift ESCs are the same as the top of the line ESCs. They just put a little bit more drive frequency in them, I think. But yeah, enough rambling. Next part, as I already said, the program box allows you to get boost and turbo really fast because from the jump you get forward and brake, and then you also get boost and turbo turned off. This is the Super Vortex manual. It says SVG2 right here, but it's the same for all of them. In the gray is the gray, so like right here, that's the gray for setting 1 for mode 1. Then you got gray right here for mode 2. See, it says number 1, it says turn on back operation, back cancel. And then number 2, turn on back operation. It's translating from another language. So them saying the same thing, just understand when this comes from the factory, it's set to no reverse. And then we got the heat protection, and then we got mode 4 boost. Number 1, turn off boost. Number 2, turn on boost. So pretty much right here, this is where you want it to be. And in order to do that, you got to do all these button presses and whatnot from over here. No, just program box. Don't think about it. Get it, do it. It's very simple once you do that. And now that we're here, let's look at all these modes. So we have boost. You turn it on. You got your cutoff voltage, reverse. You got ESC, you know, temperature, auto, or whatever. And then we get into throttle punch and neutral brake, drive field, neutral brake field, boost, turbo, boost start, boost acceleration, and neutral deadband. So nothing too crazy here. We got a total of 14 modes. And then functions only can be set by program box. This is the real reason why I told you to grab this. Only can be set by program box. So that was 14 in the ESC without the program box. In order to change these functions, these 1, 2, 3, and 4 functions, you need the program box. And that is full brake rate, turbo slope, turbo release slope, and turbo delay. You guys can pause the video and look at these. And now pause the video and look at these. Hopefully you paused the video. If you did not, you can pause it later because you're still watching. Thank you. Now that you know all the modes, what is the importance of having a Sanwa ESC? Like literally you don't hear about it. Nobody's got one really. You look on YouTube and a bunch of videos don't really say much, and if it does, it's in another language. If you have a Sanwa remote, you can tune on the fly, meaning I could be holding the trigger right now, drifting around a corner, and then I can take like 50 horsepower away on the fly with the radio in my hand. Here is my Sanwa radio, Sanwa M17. It's the only radio I have. Now I'm gonna go to the Rhino Max. I sold my Fantasy, by the way. And now that I'm on the Rhino Max, I'm gonna turn this bad boy on. Boom, we're alive. We're turning. And we got throttle. All day, right? Oh, we got throttle all day. Check this out. I heard how I was just pulling the throttle and it was dropping and all of that. Boom, 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 boom. Listen to this. That was on the fly, me changing the drag brake. Neutral brake rate is drag brake. Look at that. Just on the fly. There was no middle, like, reset, nothing. Turn it back down to 0 where it was, and look at that. Back to free-flowing motor. Nothing to it. And just that fast, I've tuned my ESC. All right, now let's go to the boost function really fast, just to kind of show you. My boost rate is at 50. But wait, if you pause that video, you'll know that 50 on the boost rate means that I'm putting 30 degrees of boost over a certain throttle range, which is now starting here. So boost start, that's the RPM across the whole power band. It starts right around there, 65% throttle, you could say. And the boost acceleration is very slow because it's at a 10. So that was a little crash course pretty much on how quick I could tune my ESC, and, you know, straight from the remote on the fly, just like how it is. But how quick can you set that up? Well, if you have a Sanwa remote, like the Sanwa M17, the Sanwa MT44. I highly recommend the MT44 or the Sanwa M17 instead of the Sanwa MT5, because the MT5 only accepts the newest receivers, which are like over $100. Sanwa M17 and Sanwa MT44 still accept Amazon specials, which are a lot cheaper, the receivers themselves. So you get a Sanwa remote, Sanwa receiver, and a Sanwa ESC. Accuvance, Futaba, yes, they have their own system, and I'm not knocking their system. I'm just bringing the Sanwa tuning aspect into the discussion because there isn't enough talk about it. So the next thing you need to understand is that when you plug this stuff in, yeah, it's a little different. Sanwa, they have what they call SSL and SHR, telling you, hey, do not plug the throttle cable or the ESC cable into channel 2, which is channel 1 to turn, channel 2 to burn, pull the throttle. Don't plug it into channel 2. Plug it into the channel that says battery, and that's how you're using SSL. What does SSL stand for? I don't know, but it means we can tune on the fly. Now, Sanwa is also big into the racing community, so they also have these other response modes, like, higher latency. I don't mess with any of that stuff. I leave my stuff at normal. So this is what my remote looks like when I'm binding my ESC to my remote or binding my transmitter to my receiver. From here, I go to System, I hit Bind, and that's how it looks. You can go and change this to FH5 because of the Sanwa M17. And then look, different channels. So my steering channel and my throttle channel, you can change those to the different modes, which is SHR and SSR. I don't do any of that stuff because it ain't that big a deal. So now that we see how that goes, let's go to the aux channels. Auxiliary 1, usually your channel 3 is what most people put the gyro at. Well, not with the Sanwa. The Sanwa Super Vortex Generation 2, the auxiliary 1 is used for the tuning because, here we go, over here it tells you, so code aux allows you to change many programming modes, values of the SVG2, it's Gen 2 Pro. So when you go into auxiliary 1, you have to change what auxiliary 1 does. So when you go over here and you go to System, you change the aux type to code 10. So code, auxiliary 2 is a step, and I put my auxiliary 2 as this little dial right here, and that's my gyro gain. But auxiliary 1, I put it to code 10. Some remotes we do a code 5, and then auxiliary 2 is the other 5, but code 10, which is the 10 functions outside of those 4. So here are the 10 functions. You remember pausing on this part of the video here. So the 10 functions start, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got 14. 14 minus 4 gives you 5 through 14. 10. So that is your code 10 right here. This setting, mode 5 all the way to mode 14. So here we have the SVG2 and the Super Vortex Generation 2. Now, remember I told you it wasn't that much difference between the two? So this drift version of the ESC, you got code 9, which allows you to do boost acceleration or a rev limiter if you go negative. Code 8, boost starting or active throttle. Set increasing motor RPM, smaller values is less increased. You can look at that there. So we got code 7, code 8, and code 9. There is a positive and negative to these. Now for the Generation 2, not the Drift 2, the Generation 2 Pro, there is no negatives. Each auxiliary has 0 to 100. 0 to 100, not -1 to -100. And that is why when you go into this remote, you can change this naming from either the Gen 2 or the Drift 2. And then you can even go back to a user setting, which I don't know why you would sit there and name all of these your own thing, but you can. If you're running, let's say it's the Sanwa MT44 and you just didn't update it, you can name them what they're supposed to be because you don't have this already in your ESC. But it's just a naming. It's not actually giving you the different settings. If you have a Gen 2 ESC and you put the Gen 2 update on it, you're going to have Gen 2 parameters to set, even if you put it in the Drift one. No matter what, Gen 2 will not have negatives, even if you chose Drift on the actual remote. Fun. I'm going to show you guys just how wonderful this ESC is with an actual Sanwa remote. So we're running. Oh yeah, you also get telemetry too. So that top one, that TL1, that's my motor, and the TL2 is my ESC. And then I got the battery voltage under that. And look at that, I get all my RPMs as well. All right, now we're all warmed up kind of. I'm gonna go ahead and let's do this as trim. I turn the throttle trim up to 30%. What I'm going to do now that you see that I have changed the throttle trim, I'm going to go into my aux setting and play with the throttle punch. And you'll see that it actually goes faster. Look at that. That is literally on the fly. I don't have to tap and exit anything. I'm just right there playing with it. And just to show you there's no negative, no matter how far I go down, it doesn't work. Drive feel, that's like the drive frequency. Neutral brake feel, and that's another frequency like on Hobby Wing. Then we got brake feel. It's like the punch of the brake. And we got the boost rate. So watch. Let me go back to just regular old throttle here. And I'm going to hold the throttle. You hear that throttle coming on. That boost coming in. Listen to this. I did not. I'm at constant throttle here. Now let's bring it back up. And let's drop it back down again. On the fly boost rating. Now mind you, that 50% boost rate is 30 degrees of boost timing. My turbo degree of timing, what does it say? I have to repause that video. Got the turbo. Timing advanced at only full throttle. So you got 4%, 8%, 12%. It only gives you 50%. Oh, so we can kind of say that's at max 30 degrees of timing. And I have mine at 25%. 15 degrees of timing right here because it's half of 30. You do the conversion rate like that pretty much. That's what I do at least. It doesn't bother me. Now the boost start. Boost start is kind of backwards. Adjust setting of starting position of RPM at which the boost timing becomes active. So number one, the lowest setting is 23,000 RPM. And the highest setting, the higher you go in the number, the lower RPM the boost will start at. So my boost is starting somewhere around what is that? What would that be? So are we here right at 50 to 60%? So we got 50, 60, right? So right around 11,000, 13,000 RPMs. That's where it starts for me. So if I take that higher, if I take that number lower, boost goes back down, right? Boost doesn't start till later. And take that back up. On the fly, literally I can have it here and I'm just moving numbers around. Then we also have boost acceleration, increase the amount of boost rate per 100 RPM, or is that 1,000? We're gonna go with 1,000 RPM. Increase the amount of boost rate. So how much boost is applied over that curve, the power at which it's applied. So for that one, I'm not really sure when it kicks in, but sometimes when you don't do the boost start right, the boost acceleration is a little off too. So I'm going to take that all the way up. Oh, I kind of reset it there. Now this goes all the way up to 100 on the remote. But remember, some of this stuff only goes to like 50%. See, the turbo goes up to 50, but the boost acceleration goes up to 100. It says increase the amount of boost rate per 1,000 RPM. Recommended value for a stock motor 17.5T is 45 to 80 for a 13.5T stock motor. 14 to 45 for the modified motor is 1.8. Okay. Yeah, I just read a whole bunch of whatevers. But pretty much that's how fast your boost kicks in. I like mine nice and slow. And then of course deadband, we all know what that means. I got that set to 0. Other than putting the 3-wire ESC wire from off of channel 2 to the actual like battery port on the receiver, that's it. You just need a Sanwa remote, a Sanwa compatible remote, and there you go. Sanwa Super Vortex never disappoints. Telemetry, you can see your battery, you can see everything you could ever need, all right here, and it never disappoints. Boost, everything's there. And I sit here all day. The Super Vortex Gen 2 comes with 2 of these capacitors, I believe. It's not going to show me on that one, whatever. But either way, it comes with 2 of these capacitors. You get your fan, and then you get like a little cooling duct on the side. It literally says cooling duct right there. So the drift comes with 1 capacitor held in like that, and that's how it all goes on. And then the Gen 2 gets a little cooling duct on the side, and then 2 capacitors. You always have to solder in your wires, so that is, I guess, a drawback, because every other ESC I know of, you don't have to solder in the wires. They're already pre-soldered. And I think that's it. Aha, it is all coming back to me now. The other drawback is that you only get 6 volts of BEC voltage. There is no other BEC voltage. Now personally, I have yet to mess with the actual 4 modes on the program box, the turbo, slope, the full brake rate, and things like that. I haven't seen the need to, but that pretty much does it for the Sanwa Super Vortex. Not complicated at all. Mostly every time I get one, when I do get one, I already have the program box with the latest update on it. And then I just plug it in, update the ESC. It's all right there, and then I get going. Now, of course, you don't need a Sanwa remote you can just do off the program box, just like any other ESC. It's nothing crazy like that. The ESC is pretty powerful. It comes with, all of them come with their own capacitor. Mine just so happens to be a Yeah Racing, like, super high capacity capacitor, because I got it used. I like finding these things used because for some reason people they're just like, yeah, I'm done with them. I don't have a problem with them, but this one came with the Yeah Racing one on it, but most all of them did come with their own capacitor from the factory. So it does the job. No complaints. And I have to say that I don't see myself owning Futaba anymore, or Accuvance ESCs, and I have nothing against them. They do have their own features that far outweigh the Sanwa sometimes, like, rotating the motor the other way through the ESC instead of having to actually flip your spur gear to the other side of your gearbox and then rotate your motor over. Mechanical versus electronical motor rotation. Yeah, Sanwa does not allow you to rotate your motor the opposite direction, counterclockwise versus clockwise. And other ESCs allow that. And, there's no reverse delay on the Sanwa Super Vortex. I think there's like 2 other things that I'm missing right now that Futaba / Accuvance has over the Sanwa ESC. But Sanwa does allow just a seamless plug and play tuning on the fly. $30 program box, and then like $180 ESC, and then your remote is where you can, do everything. Like a Fly Sky Noble MB4 is somewhere around 180, 170, something like that. You can find a Sanwa MT44 for like 180, 220, something like that. And then now you immediately can tune on the fly. This is not me promoting or trying to get sponsored. This is just me being real. Way less complicated. I own an Apple computer, so I don't got those things to make a Futaba update work. Especially knowing that a Teo 3 is like $180 by itself. That's just the tuner. The ESC, excuse me, the ESC is fine. Everybody's starting to catch on to the ESC. But the program box and then the whole S-Bus thing with the Futaba receiver, yeah, not my speed. Just not my speed. It may be yours, but it's not mine. I stick with Sanwa Super Vortex, and I am good. And that is the Sanwa Super Vortex ESC, how it works, how it gets down, how it boogies. And yeah, well, y'all have a good one. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I don't really say that much. Just appreciate y'all who watch and comment. Thank you. And y'all keep God first. I'll catch you on the next video. And now for the scripture.